A glass shatters on the kitchen floor. The sound echoes through the empty living room, sharp and final. Emilia's eyes flutter open, her head pounding with a pain that feels like her skull is splitting in two. She's on the couch, not her bed. The couch! The morning light streams through the window, harsh and unforgiving, and she squints against it, trying to remember, trying to piece together how she got here. Her phone buzzes on the floor beside her, the screen lighting up with a text from her best friend, Rebecca. "Are you okay? Please call me when you wake up." Emilia stares at the message, confusion washing over her like cold water. Why wouldn't she be okay? What happened last night? She tries to sit up, but her body feels heavy, disconnected, like it doesn't belong to her anymore. Her arms are sore. There's a bruise on her wrist she doesn't remember getting. Her dress is wrinkled, the strap torn at the shoulder. And then, the silence hits her. The kind of silence that screams louder than any noise. The kind that makes your heart race and your stomach turn. Something is wrong. Terribly, horribly wrong. She reaches for her phone with trembling fingers, scrolling through last night's photos. There she is, smiling at the camera, surrounded by family and friends at the celebration. There's her mom, laughing with Aunt Linda. There's Damien, her step-uncle, standing close, too close, in a picture she doesn't remember taking. And then the photos stop. Just stop. Like someone hit pause on her life. The last timestamp reads 9:47 p.m., but she knows the party went on much longer than that. She knows people didn't leave until after midnight. So where did those hours go? Why can't she remember? Emilia's hands shake as she sets the phone down. Her throat feels tight, her chest constricted. She wants to scream, but no sound comes out. That night, everything Emilia trusted about family and safety changed forever. 22 years old, full of dreams and determined to make something of herself, that was Emilia Martinez. She was a junior at State University, studying psychology because she wanted to help people, wanted to understand the human mind and all its complexities. Her friends called her the mom friend, the one who always checked in, always made sure everyone got home safe, always had a listening ear when someone needed to talk. She lived at home with her mother, Grace, in a modest two-bedroom house on Maple Street, the same house she had grown up in, the same house where her father had taught her to ride a bike in the driveway before he passed away from cancer 3 years ago. His death had shattered their little family, left a hole that nothing could quite fill. But they'd found a way to keep going. They had to. Grace worked double shifts as a nurse at the county hospital, exhausted but resilient, and Emilia juggled classes with a part-time job at the campus bookstore. Money was tight, but they had each other, and that felt like enough. Then Damien came into their lives. Damien Crawford, Grace's younger brother-in-law, her late husband's brother. He'd moved to town about 8 months ago after losing his job in another state, showing up on their doorstep with a duffel bag and a sheepish smile, asking if he could stay just for a couple of weeks until he got back on his feet. Grace, with her big heart and sense of family duty, couldn't say no. 2 weeks turned into 2 months, then 4, then 8. Damien was 41, charming in that easy way some people have, always quick with a joke or a compliment. He'd fix things around the house without being asked, take out the trash, help with groceries. Grace was grateful for the help, especially with her work schedule, and Emilia appreciated having another adult around, someone who reminded her a little of her dad, though they were nothing alike in the ways that really mattered. Her father had been quiet, thoughtful, the kind of man who showed love through actions rather than words. Damien was different, louder, more present, sometimes too present. He'd linger in the kitchen while Emilia made coffee in the morning, asking about her classes, her friends, her life. At first it felt nice, like he genuinely cared, but over time something about his attention started to feel off, though she couldn't quite name what it was. The way he would touch her shoulder when he walked by, just a second too long. The way his eyes would follow her across the room. The way he'd show up wherever she was in the house, even when she had specifically gone somewhere to be alone. She told herself she was being paranoid, that he was just being friendly, that she was reading too much into innocent gestures. After all, he was family. Family wouldn't... No, she wouldn't even finish that thought. Then came the celebration. It was Grace's birthday weekend, and she decided to throw a small gathering at the house. Nothing fancy, just close friends and a few relatives. Emilia spent the whole day helping prepare, stringing up lights in the backyard, setting up folding tables, making her mom's favorite lemon cake from scratch. By the time guests started arriving around 6, the house was filled with warmth and laughter, the kind that makes you forget just for a moment about all the hard things in life. Uncle Robert came with his wife and 2 kids. Aunt Linda brought her famous potato salad. A few of Grace's coworkers from the hospital stopped by. Emilia's best friend Rebecca promised to come later after her shift at the restaurant. And Damien. Damien was the life of the party as always, grilling burgers in the backyard, refilling drinks, making everyone laugh with his stories. He seemed so normal that night, so harmless. The music was loud, but not too loud, just enough that you had to lean in a little to hear conversations. Emilia moved through the crowd with a smile, making sure everyone had what they needed, that the food didn't run out, that her mom was happy. And Grace was happy, genuinely happy, laughing in a way she hadn't seen in months. That alone made all the preparation worth it. By 8 o'clock, the party had hit its stride. People were dancing in the living room, the furniture pushed back to make space. Someone had connected their phone to the speaker and was playing a mix of old classics and current hits. Emilia found herself dancing with Rebecca, who had finally arrived, both of them laughing and spinning and forgetting for just a little while about exams and bills and all the weight they carried. That's when Damien appeared with 2 red plastic cups, condensation dripping down the sides. "Thought you girls might be thirsty. Made some punch, my special recipe." Rebecca took hers with a quick thanks and downed half of it immediately. Emilia hesitated just for a second, something in her gut whispering a warning she didn't quite understand. But then she shook it off, told herself to stop being weird, and took the cup. "Thanks, Uncle D," and took a sip. It was sweet, fruity, with a bite of alcohol underneath. Not bad. She took another sip. Damien watched her drink, his eyes fixed on her face in a way that made her skin prickle. "Good, right?" he asked. "Yeah," she said, turning away to rejoin Rebecca on the makeshift dance floor. She finished the cup over the next 20 minutes, not thinking much of it. When she went to the kitchen to grab some water, Damien was there again, already holding another cup. "Here, I thought you needed a refill." "Oh, I was actually going to get water." "Come on, it's a party. One more won't hurt. Your mom's having a great time. You should too." Something about the way he said it, the gentle insistence, made her take the cup. She didn't want to seem ungrateful, didn't want to make things awkward, so she drank. And then, slowly, everything started to blur. The lights seemed brighter, the music louder. Her limbs felt heavy, like she was moving through honey. She tried to focus on Rebecca's face, but her friend's features kept sliding in and out of clarity.
You okay?" Rebecca's voice sounded far away, even though she was right next to her. "Yeah, I think I need to sit down." The last thing Emilia clearly remembered was Rebecca helping her to the couch, the room spinning around her, voices echoing like they were coming from the bottom of a well. She remembered trying to tell Rebecca something was wrong, that this wasn't normal drunk, that something felt different. But the words wouldn't come out right. And then, nothing. Just darkness. A void where hours should have been. When Emilia finally managed to pull herself off the couch that morning, every step felt like she was walking through wet cement. Her head throbbed with each movement, a dull, persistent ache that seemed to radiate from the base of her skull. She stumbled to the bathroom, catching sight of herself in the mirror, and barely recognized the reflection staring back. Her makeup was smeared, mascara creating dark shadows under her eyes. Her hair was tangled, knotted in a way that didn't make sense if she'd just been sleeping on the couch. And there, on her neck, just below her ear, was that a mark? She leaned closer, her fingers trembling as they touched the reddish-purple spot. It looked like... No, it couldn't be. She must have She must have bumped into something, that's all. People get bruises at parties. It doesn't mean anything. The bathroom door swung open, and Grace walked in, still in her bathrobe, looking tired but content. "Good morning, sweetheart. Quite a party last night, wasn't it? I think everyone had a wonderful time." Emilia turned to her mother, words catching in her throat. "Mom, do you know what time I went to sleep?" Grace frowned, thinking, "Oh, I'm not sure, honey. I went to bed around 11 and you were still up, talking with Rebecca and a few others." "Why?" I don't remember much after about 10. And I wasn't drinking that much, I promise, but I feel—" She trailed off, unsure how to explain the wrongness that had settled in her bones. "You're probably just hungover, sweetie. Make sure you drink lots of water today. And maybe get some more rest. You worked so hard to make yesterday perfect." Grace kissed her daughter's forehead and left the bathroom. Just like that. Conversation over. Emilia stood there, staring at her reflection, at the bruise on her wrist, at the mark on her neck, at the torn strap of her dress that she only now noticed. Something happened. She knew something happened. But what? And why couldn't she remember? She spent the next hour in her room, scrolling through her phone obsessively, looking for clues. There were dozens of photos from the party, but none from after 9:30. No texts she'd sent, no calls. Just a gap. A blank space where her memory should be. When she opened Instagram, her stomach dropped. Rebecca had posted a video around 10:15, and there, in the background, Emilia could see herself. But she wasn't dancing anymore. She was sitting in a chair in the corner of the living room, her head lolling to the side, and Damien was next to her, his hand on her shoulder, leaning in close to her ear like he was whispering something. She looked wrong. Not drunk happy, not relaxed. She looked unconscious or close to it. And Damien's expression, there was something in his eyes, something that made Emilia's blood run cold. She watched the video 3 more times, her hands shaking worse each time. Then she heard footsteps in the hallway and Damien's voice calling out, "Morning, everyone! Who wants pancakes?" Her door opened without a knock, and there he was, smiling that same easy smile. "Hey, Em, rough morning?" He stepped into her room uninvited, and she instinctively pulled her blanket up higher, suddenly aware of how vulnerable she felt in her tank top and shorts. "You really let loose last night," he continued, his tone light, casual. "Don't worry, though. I made sure you got to the couch safely when you started getting sleepy. Didn't want you falling or anything." Sleepy. That word bounced around in her head. Is that what he was calling it? Sleepy. "I don't remember that," Emilia said quietly, her voice barely above a whisper. "Well, you were pretty out of it. But hey, that's what family's for, right? To look out for each other." He winked, actually winked, and walked out, leaving her door open behind him. Emilia sat frozen, that last sentence echoing in her mind. Family. Look out for each other. Everything in her wanted to believe that's all it was, that he'd helped her, that she'd just gotten too drunk and passed out and nothing else happened. The alternative was too terrible to consider. So she pushed it down, locked it away in the back of her mind where all the scary thoughts lived. She got dressed, went downstairs, and tried to act normal. Tried to smile when Grace commented on what a success the party had been. Tried not to flinch at Damien handing her a plate of pancakes. Tried not to notice the way his fingers brushed against hers just a second too long. Tried to convince herself that she was being paranoid, dramatic, crazy. Over the next 2 days, that's what she told herself, over and over, like a mantra. You're overreacting. Nothing happened. You just drank too much. Stop being ridiculous. But the bruises didn't disappear. The mark on her neck darkened before it started to fade, and the feeling, that bone-deep certainty that something was wrong, only grew stronger. She avoided being alone with Damien, started spending more time at the library, at Rebecca's apartment, anywhere but home. And when she was home, she kept her door locked, pushed her desk chair under the handle for extra security. Grace noticed the change, asked if everything was okay, if she was stressed about school. Emilia just nodded, forced a smile, said she was fine. Because that's what you do. You say you're fine. You don't want to worry anyone. You don't want to cause problems in the family. You definitely don't want to accuse someone of something you're not even sure happened. But Rebecca noticed too. On the third day after the party, Rebecca cornered her at the campus coffee shop, slid into the booth across from her with a serious expression that Emilia had rarely seen on her usually cheerful friend. "Okay, talk to me. What's going on?" "Nothing. I'm just tired." "Emilia, I've known you since freshman year. I know when something's wrong. You've barely responded to my texts, you look like you haven't slept, and you keep, I don't know, flinching at random stuff. What happened?" "I told you, nothing." "Was it at the party? Because I've been thinking about that night. And Emilia, you weren't yourself. I thought you were just drunk, but now I'm wondering if something else was going on." The words hung in the air between them, heavy with implication. Emilia felt tears prick her eyes, the wall she'd been building around her fear starting to crack. "I don't remember," she whispered. "I don't remember most of the night. And that scares me more than anything." Rebecca didn't let it go. She couldn't. That afternoon, sitting in the coffee shop as the lunch crowd thinned out, she pulled up that Instagram video she had posted and showed it to Emilia. Look at this. Really look at it. Does this look like normal drunk to you?" Emilia watched herself in the video, saw the way her head lolled, the way her eyes were half closed, the way Damien's hand gripped her shoulder. She watched it again and again. Each time the sick feeling in her stomach grew worse. "What are you saying?" she asked. Though she knew, deep down she knew what Rebecca was saying, she just needed to hear it out loud from someone else, needed confirmation that she wasn't losing her mind. "I'm saying I think someone put something in your drink. I'm saying I don't think you were just drunk."
"And I'm saying," Rebecca paused, reaching across the table to take Emilia's hand, "I'm saying I think something bad happened to you that night, and I think you need to see a doctor." The tears Emilia had been holding back finally broke through, spilling down her cheeks in hot streams. I can't go to a doctor. What would I even say? I don't remember anything. They'll think I'm making it up. They'll think I'm just some stupid girl who drank too much and now regrets it. That's not what happened, and you know it. Em, I was there. I saw how much you drank. 2 cups of punch over like an hour? That shouldn't have done that." Rebecca gestured at the video. "That's not alcohol. That's something else." "But what if I'm wrong? What if nothing happened and I'm just—" "Then you're wrong. But what if you're right and you do nothing? What if this happens to someone else because you were too scared to speak up?" That hit Emilia like a physical blow. The thought that someone else could go through this, could feel this same terror and confusion and violation because she stayed silent, she couldn't bear it. "Okay," she said quietly. "Okay, I'll go. But I don't even know where to start." Rebecca pulled out her phone, already searching. "There's a sexual assault nurse examiner at County Hospital. They do evidence collection and medical checks. But it's been 3 days. I don't know if there's still anything they can find." 3 days? 72 hours. The window was closing, if it wasn't already closed. But she had to try. She had to know. That evening, Rebecca drove her to County Hospital. Emilia made her promise not to tell Grace. Not yet. Not until she knew what she was dealing with. The waiting room felt like purgatory. Fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. The smell of antiseptic and anxiety thick in the air. When they finally called her name, Emilia's legs barely carried her down the hall. The nurse examiner, a woman in her 50s named Patricia, had kind eyes and a gentle voice. She explained the process, what the examination would involve, what they would be looking for. She asked Emilia if she wanted to report to police, if she wanted evidence collected, even if she wasn't sure yet about pressing charges. "You don't have to decide anything right now," Patricia said softly. "But if you think something happened, if there's even a possibility, we should collect what we can while we still can. You can always choose not to use it later, but you can't go back in time." So, Emilia agreed. She changed into the hospital gown and let them photograph the bruises she tried to hide. She answered questions about what she remembered, which wasn't much. She submitted to the invasive examination, staring at the ceiling tiles and counting them over and over to distract herself from the humiliation of it all. When it was done, Patricia sat with her while she got dressed, waiting until Emilia was ready to talk. "We found some things," Patricia said carefully. "Things consistent with trauma. And we'll run a toxicology screen on the urine and blood samples we collected. It's been a few days, so some drugs may have already left your system, but we might get lucky. Either way, there's enough here to suggest that your instincts were right. Something did happen." The words should have been validating, should have brought relief that she wasn't crazy. Instead, they brought a new wave of horror. It was real. Whatever fuzzy nightmare suspicions she'd been harboring were real. "What do I do now?" Emilia asked, her voice breaking. "That's up to you. You can file a police report. You can tell your family. You can seek counseling. You can do all of those things or none of them. There's no right way to handle this. But whatever you choose, I want you to know that what happened to you is not your fault. You understand that? Not your fault." Emilia nodded, though she didn't really believe it yet. How could it not be her fault? She'd taken the drinks from him. She stayed at the party. She let herself become vulnerable. These thoughts swirled in her head as Rebecca drove her home in silence, both of them processing the weight of what they now knew. When they pulled up to Emilia's house, all the lights were on. Grace was home, probably wondering where her daughter had been all evening. Damien's car was in the driveway too. The sight of it made Emilia feel physically ill. "I can't go in there. I can't be in the same house as him. Not now. Not knowing." "Then don't. Come stay with me. I've got a couch. My roommate won't mind." "But my mom, she'll worry. She'll ask questions." "So? Tell her you're having a study sleepover. Tell her anything. But Em, you cannot go back in that house tonight. Please." So she didn't. She sent her mom a quick text about staying at Rebecca's to work on a group project, grabbed a few things while Damien was in the shower and she could avoid seeing him, and left. That night, lying on Rebecca's couch while her friend snored softly in the next room, Emilia stared at the ceiling and made a decision. She was going to report it. She was going to tell the police what she suspected, what the hospital had found. She was going to speak up, even if her voice shook, even if no one believed her. Because Rebecca was right. If this could happen to her, in her own home, at a family party surrounded by people who loved her, then it could happen to anyone. And maybe, just maybe, her voice could protect the next person. The police station smelled like burned coffee and old paperwork. Emilia sat in a small interview room, Rebecca beside her for moral support, waiting for the detective to arrive. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking, so she clasped them together in her lap, pressing them down until her knuckles turned white. Detective Sarah Martinez, no relation, walked in 15 minutes later with a tired smile and a yellow legal pad. She was younger than Emilia expected, maybe mid-30s, with her dark hair pulled back in a neat bun and eyes that had seen too much but somehow remained kind. "Emilia, I'm Detective Martinez. I know this is difficult, but I'm here to listen and to help you however I can. Before we start, I want you to know that you're very brave for coming forward. I've read the report from the hospital, so I have some context, but I need to hear the story in your own words. Take your time. We can stop whenever you need to. So Emilia told her story, all of it. About the party, the drinks, the blackout, waking up confused and violated without understanding why. About the bruises and the torn dress and the video that showed her barely conscious, while Damien stood too close. About the hospital examination that confirmed her worst fears. Detective Martinez listened without interrupting, taking notes occasionally, her expression neutral but focused. When Emilia finished, her voice hoarse from talking and crying, the detective set down her pen and leaned forward. Here's what's going to happen next. We're going to open an official investigation. I'll need to interview other people who were at the party, including family members, to establish a timeline and corroborate your account. I'll also need to speak with Damien Crawford, which means he'll know that you've made a report. That may cause some tension in your living situation. Tension. That was putting it mildly.
The thought of Damien knowing she'd accused him, of facing him across a dinner table or in the hallway, made Emilia's stomach turn. "I can't go back there," she said firmly. "Not if he's there." "Do you have somewhere safe you can stay?" "She can stay with me as long as she needs," Rebecca interjected. "My apartment isn't huge, but we'll make it work." Detective Martinez nodded. "That's good. Now, I need to be honest with you, Emilia. Cases like this are difficult to prosecute. Drug-facilitated sexual assault often comes down to he said, she said, especially when there's a delayed report and limited memory from the victim. The toxicology results might help, if they come back positive, but many of these drugs leave the system quickly. And the fact that this allegedly occurred in your own home with a family member during a party where alcohol was being served, defense attorneys will use all of that to create doubt. Each word felt like a punch to Emilia's gut. "So you're saying I shouldn't bother? That no one will believe me?" "No, I'm saying this will be hard, and I want you to be prepared for that. But I believe you. And we're going to investigate this thoroughly, follow every lead, and build the strongest case we can. Whatever happens, you deserve to have your voice heard." Over the next week, Detective Martinez worked quickly. She interviewed Grace first, who was shocked and defensive, insisting that there must be a mistake, that Damien would never do something like that Emilia must be confused or mistaken. "She's been under so much stress with school," Grace said, her voice cracking. "Maybe she just had too much to drink and doesn't remember clearly. Maybe she's, I don't know, having some kind of breakdown. This is my brother-in-law we're talking about. My late husband's brother. He's family." That word again. Family. As if family meant safe. As if family meant incapable of harm. Detective Martinez then spoke to other party guests. Most remembered seeing Emilia earlier in the evening, laughing and dancing, seeming fine. A few recalled her looking out of it later on, sitting in a corner, but assumed she was drunk or tired. One of Grace's co-workers, Linda, mentioned seeing Damien helping Emilia to the couch, said he seemed concerned and caring. Rebecca's testimony was the most helpful. She described in detail how much Emilia had consumed, which wasn't much, and how quickly her condition deteriorated. She provided the Instagram video and several photos showing Damien constantly near Emilia throughout the night, always with a drink in hand for her. When Detective Martinez finally interviewed Damien, he came to the station with an expensive lawyer his sister in another state had hired. He sat calmly across from the detective, his face a mask of concern and confusion. "I don't understand what this is about. Emilia is like a niece to me. I've been living with her and Grace, helping out around the house. At the party, I noticed she'd had too much to drink, so I made sure she got to the couch safely. I was protecting her, looking after her. I can't believe she would twist that into whatever this accusation is."
Did you give Emilia any drinks that night? Sure, I was making punch for everyone. It was a party. I probably gave her a cup or two, along with a dozen other people. Did you put anything other than alcohol in those drinks? The lawyer leaned in. My client doesn't have to answer that. But Damien held up a hand. It's fine, detective. No, I made punch with fruit juice and vodka. That's it. If Emilia got too drunk, maybe she had more than she's admitting, or maybe someone else gave her something, but it wasn't me. I'm the one who took care of her. His performance was flawless, convincing. If Emilia hadn't known better, even she might have believed him. That's what made it so terrifying, how easily he could lie, how comfortable he was in his deception. The toxicology results came back a week later. GHB, gamma-hydroxybutyric acid, a substance commonly used in drug-facilitated sexual assault. It was there, barely detectable after 3 days, but there. Proof that Emilia hadn't been just drunk, proof that someone had deliberately incapacitated her. Armed with that evidence, Detective Martinez arrested Damien Crawford on charges of drug-facilitated sexual assault. Grace's world imploded. She was caught between her daughter and her brother-in-law, between believing the toxicology report and believing the man who'd been helping around their house for months. The family split right down the middle. Some relatives rallied around Emilia, horrified and supportive. Others whispered that she was lying, that she wanted attention, that she was trying to destroy a good man's life. Emilia moved out completely, taking only what she could carry, and settled into Rebecca's tiny apartment. The couch became her bed, the coffee table became her desk for schoolwork. She tried to keep going to classes, but panic attacks would strike at random, leaving her hyperventilating in bathroom stalls or fleeing lecture halls. Her grades plummeted. Her social life evaporated. Everything narrowed to just surviving each day, getting through each hour without completely falling apart. And through it all, the case moved forward, slowly, grinding through the legal system like a boulder through mud. The trial began on a cold morning in November, nearly 6 months after the assault. The courthouse was an imposing brick building downtown, with marble floors and echoing hallways that made Emilia feel impossibly small. She'd lost weight since that night, dark circles permanent fixtures under her eyes, her once vibrant energy dulled to a muted exhaustion. Rebecca walked beside her, as she had through everything, a steady presence in a world that felt increasingly unstable. Grace was there too, sitting in the back row, torn and heartbroken, still unable to fully accept what her daughter was saying, but unable to completely dismiss it either. The courtroom filled with people, spectators, journalists, family members taking sides. Emilia's hands wouldn't stop shaking as she took her seat behind the prosecutor, a sharp woman named Catherine Park, who'd spent weeks preparing her for what was coming. Remember what we practiced. Tell the truth, stay calm. Don't let the defense rattle you. I'll be right here. Damien sat at the defense table in a nice suit, looking respectable and wronged, his expensive lawyer beside him. When his eyes met Emilia's across the courtroom, he had the audacity to look sad, as if she had betrayed him, as if he was the victim here. The trial moved in waves, testimony building like a case of evidence. Detective Martinez took the stand first, walking the jury through the investigation, the timeline, the hospital findings, the toxicology report. It was clinical, matter-of-fact, but Emilia felt herself shrinking in her seat as the details of her assault were discussed like a science experiment. Brennan tried to discredit the medical findings too, suggesting that the trauma could have other causes, that the examination happened days after the alleged assault, that memory can't always be trusted.
Rebecca testified about the video, about watching Emilia's rapid decline that night, about how unusual it had been. Several other party guests corroborating parts of the timeline. Then it was Emilia's turn. Walking to the witness stand felt like walking to the edge of a cliff. Every eye in the courtroom was on her, judging, evaluating, deciding whether to believe her. She placed her hand on the Bible, swore to tell the truth, and sat down in the wooden chair that suddenly felt like an electric chair. Catherine Park approached with a gentle smile, easing her into the